Alright guys, welcome back. Like I said, my name is Anirudh Barath, and if you guys are watching this video, thank you so much once again for tuning in. Touched on the introduction in the last video. It's Eagles Weekly Part 1. This is Part 2, so if you guys want to take a look at the introduction, by all means go around and head to Part 1. But in Part 1 I said I was going to touch on the Desean Jackson release in this video right now. And that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about here. And the first thing about that move is I've heard conflicting reports whether or not it was a football decision by Chip Kelly or a personal decision. Like they said, he had gang affiliations. So I don't know what the situation is. I don't know the exact reason why they cut him. They said it could have been a financial reason, because I remember he was getting paid around $10 million that year, and a lot of people said he was not worth that money. But the way I see it is, a lot of players are given contracts based on their foreseen production. And that includes, for let's say wide receiver, for example, receptions, receiving yards, yak, touchdowns, lack of drops, so things like that, things that you can put in the stat book. But a lot of times, you have to take into account how they influence the other players around them, and that's exactly what a type of player Desean Jackson did. I mean, obviously he put the numbers, on the field. He had the numbers, but the way you have to the bigger picture is how he helped other players play better, and that includes Riley Cooper, that includes Nick Foles, that includes LaShawn McCoy, that includes Zach Ertz, Brent Selleck, those guys, Jason Avant. How did he impact that? I mean, his playmaking abilities, he could take the top over the defense, over the safety. He was able to spread the field, more lanes, more holes down the middle of the field for guys like Riley Cooper, Jason Avant, Shady, Selleck, Ertz. Gave them more opportunities to make plays. It's kind of like a defensive end. You see a defensive end getting the sacks or getting the tackles, but a lot of times, can he do the other things? Can he get outside contain? Can he plug up the holes? Can he make sure running back doesn't, running back has to go inside of the line of scrimmage? It's a lot of those little things, and Desean Jackson did that. For his position, he was able to impact the game by providing opportunities for his teammates to make plays. So, for me, I take that into account when it comes to the little things, like the nuances of the game, when it comes to a player's contract. And yeah, even though he was being paid that much, you have to understand that he was a valuable player. He was a playmaker. He was a game changer. And by no means did I agree with the cutting of Desean Jackson. And to this day, I still miss them. To this day, I always wonder what this team could have been with Jordan Matthews, Jeremy Maclin, Desean Jackson, LaShawn McCoy, Darren Sproles, Josh Huff, Zach Ertz, Brent Selleck. The list goes on and on. Imagine if they had those on. Now, if they had Desean, who knows, they probably wouldn't have had Matthews. They would have made different decisions during the draft, but still, just imagine what it could have been. Now, when they cut Desean, I kept saying to myself, how are they going to replace his production? And the first thing they did was get Darren Sproles, which I thought was a steal, which I thought was a tremendous move by Chip Kelly. Darren Sproles, it was very unfortunate they didn't utilize him that much this year than they should have. He's very versatile. He's not really your average running back that can run 20, 30 times. He's maybe going to run it 4 or 5 times. But he's going to catch it out of the backfield numerous times, and that's exactly what the Eagles brought him in for. He fits Chip Kelly's system perfectly. And I'd say the first half of this year, he was the team's MVP. The way he played in many games, the way he just all of a sudden took over games. If you saw a lot of games like the Jaguars games, the Colts game, the Redskins game, he just took over those games. And definitely the first half of the year, he was the MVP of the team. I don't even know what happened the second half. They just didn't utilize him that much. But they bring in Darren Sproles, which I said, okay, we're obviously not going to get all the production back, but he's definitely going to give something. If he gives you 50 catches in Chip Kelly's offense, that's a considerable amount of Desean Jackson's production being substituted by Darren Sproles. And then they go in the draft, and they get Jordan Matthews in the second round, and Josh Huff in the third round. And Jordan Matthews, I think, is going to be a stud. He is a stud. He's a beast. I call him Baby T.O. because, obviously the 81, and he's younger, but he has like similar like swagger, similar attitude like Terrell Owens. He always wants to be. He's very competitive. He always wants to be the best. He wants to kind of like chip and chap or talk away against his opponents. And that's what I like. He may be a little cocky, but hey, as long as he backs it up, which he did his rookie year, he had a phenomenal rookie year. He's definitely going to. I can't wait to see him in year 2, what he can do. Hopefully elevate his game. Depending on who throws to him. Now that's the question. That's a question in another segment. But they get Jordan Matthews, and him and Sproles, by themselves, just I guess you could say kind of production-wise, kind of like compensated for Desean's absence. However, there are plays that Desean makes, and once again, I kind of allude back to how he impacts other players, like his playmaking abilities when he's able to stretch the field. Obviously, guys like Riley Cooper didn't have that good of a year. Zach Ertz, on paper he had a good year, but situation-wise, circumstance-wise, it was a different story. So Zach Ertz, Brent Selleck, Riley Cooper, Shady in the backfield didn't have that many. Didn't have that good of a year. Maybe it's because of Desean. Maybe it's because of the instability at quarterback. Who knows? But there's definitely some plays that the Eagles missed. I know Jeremy Maclin did his best to be kind of like a home run hitter for the Eagles, and he did, and he had some nice deep bombs, deep plays throughout the course of the year. But it just wasn't like what Desean could have done. And I'm not saying he's the sole reason why the Eagles lost or didn't make the playoffs, but they definitely did miss him. And you can tell there were plays that the Eagles could have made if they had Desean Jackson. Even it doesn't matter if Mark Sanchez was the quarterback, Nick Foles was the quarterback. Desean Jackson's a game changer, and they really missed him this year. Chip Kelly is obviously not going to believe that, but deep down, every Eagle fan knows that Desean would have been an integral part of this team year 2. And even though production-wise, you got good production out of Sproles and Matthews, and Huff looks like he has some promise in the long run, it just wasn't enough to compensate for Desean's playmaking ability in terms of impacting other receivers or impacting the way the defense prepares for the Eagles offense. So at the end of the day, I did not agree with that cut at all. I don't know why Chip Kelly did it. He didn't even get anything in return for it. If you traded him, like how they did for Shady for Alonzo, which is for another segment, then I would have said, okay, we got something in return, but we just flat out cut the guy. Doesn't make any sense. There's no logic behind it. And truth be told, I'm somewhat happy that he torched us that Saturday evening when we played the Redskins when we lost, because I hope that taught a lesson for Chip Kelly that you have to learn the hard way. He's like, I always say, scheme and culture can only take you so far without talent. But in the NFL, you need talent to win. You can have scheme and culture all you want, but if you don't have talent, you're not going to do anything. And that's exactly what the Eagles lost when they got rid of Desean Jackson. That was talent. And to this day, I still don't understand why Chip Kelly did it, but he did it. And it's his team now, and hopefully, like I said, he has a plan coming. I actually don't even know if he has a plan anymore. But like I said, right now we're acknowledging each problem one by one. And towards the end, I will talk about ways they could possibly, things they could look forward to. So that's pretty much my take on the Desean Jackson thing. I don't know why they did it, but I just think the little nuances of the game you have to take into account, which I don't know if Chip Kelly did or not, but if he had him, I guarantee you this team would be in the playoffs. This team would have been in the playoffs, but we'll see how it goes. And moving on, I guess, from Desean, we'll be talking about the next video about the Chip Kelly becoming the GM, quote unquote. How he pretty much sent an ultimatum to Jeffrey Lurie. So you guys are more than welcome to take a look at that. It's going to be part 3. Part 1 was introduction. This one's Desean. Part 3 is going to be about the Chip Kelly promotion and the Howie Roseman demotion. But other than that, guys, thank you so much once again for taking a look at this one, and fly Eagles fly.